interesting to connect my experience, which I had lived in some informal shared houses, but not really an intentional cooperative in college. But after, like, I guess in my last year of college, I was searching for a more intense personal growth experience, and some people go seeking community to go back to the land or to learn a particular skill or some calling, whether it's, who knows, there's just endless number of reasons, and we can talk about some of the reasons what people are seeking, but I think the personal growth thing, and politically, it was a lot like Helen was talking about, that I really wanted to be able to shape my environment and tackle the isms and see if I could live in an environment that was more free of them than the mainstream. And so I was very attracted to an ad for the Federation of Egalitarian Communities. And that's how I found my way to Twin Oaks. And it was the oldest of the group. There's only usually 6 or 7, I don't know the exact count right now, of egalitarian communities, which are all completely income sharing, land sharing, very minimal personal items that you could have as your own. So there's a communal pot. It's commune economics. And the social space, like in your personal room that you get while you're a member, there's like a room on loan to you. But otherwise, the rest of the space is really all public. There are no private residences, no private vehicles, things like that. They were founded in 1967, so it's over 40 years old. It's still not as old as Sherman. Averages about 75 adult members, and you have to be an adult to be a member. So anybody who's under 19, maybe they've made one exception or so in the 40 years that they've been in existence. But some kids are born there, but because a lot of the burden of having kids is economically shared by the whole community, and because a lot of people, kind of like me, have strong personal growth and political interests, it's not a place where a lot of people are married or where they have a lot of kids. It's a low ratio of kids in the community. So different from Songaya, in places where they have the nuclear family unit, have their own household, have their own kitchen, and the economics of how you earn that money and what you basically can keep, whatever. You just pay some dues. It's not a proportional sharing of your income in co-housing. It's much more like a kibbutz, and too bad that Neil's not in the room right now, but we talked a little bit, yeah, he'll be back, that kibbutzim in Israel typically would have a rural setting, and they produce some things, and they would share collectively the income of those businesses. And that's what Twin Oaks did. And we had several different types of businesses, and then had farming and gardening go on so that we would raise about 3/4 of the produce at least. But we did also do bulk buying, and we were no, self-sufficient or off the grid. We definitely had electricity, and we definitely bought food and traded food with neighbors and things like that. So the healthcare, the food, having the residences built and maintained by the members, and there would be about 9 residences and multiple rooms and small living groups within large residences. We would be responsible for those. We even had our own sewage treatment plant. And some of the work, all of the work was voluntary, but the only thing that was an exception to that was kind of like you hear the common thread is like somebody makes it mandatory that you do something in the kitchen and maybe do something in the bathroom. You clean the kitchen, you cook, or you would clean up bathrooms that were in public spaces. And so that was the one thing for every week that you were on the farm, you did like 1 hour of that type of thing. Otherwise, the rest of the labor, which we didn't get paid for, wasn't exchange of money, but we just each agreed to have a labor quota, and it would be maybe 45 to 48 hours a week. But that includes all the domestic things that the rest of us do. So some things were for the sake of the commune, but it included laundry and those kind of things like cooking and things you do on your own. So it didn't, we weren't all slaves to, the clock of trying to fit in hours of income producing things. The meals, I mean, food is such a very personal thing, and I think both in some of the urban co-ops I've lived in and in a place like Twin Oaks, food is an ongoing issue, trying to strike the right balance of what we spend our money on, where we get it from, how it's prepared, is there a right balance of vegetarian, come on. We were just talking about Twin Oaks being much like the kibbutz compared to the others here, and how we had industries, we have diversified businesses, and we share equally the profit. Even managers, whatever role you took on, you didn't get any more reward for that. Everyone got exactly the same access to things, the same allowance, and we didn't have like I was saying, we didn't really have money, but it was just a common purse, and it would be an account that on paper you had this money that someone even filled out the tax forms for you at the end of the year, your personal federal income tax. You'd just come in and you'd sign it, you'd look at it, but everyone had the same. Like if you were there 12 months, you'd had the same of whatever divided by the number of members that were there. And I could also sign papers that were on behalf of the community because everyone owned the place equally. So I guess that just gives a little bit of background about how it was, but the thread of meals being so important and how food was chosen, we can maybe that wasn't like a prime factor for me, but I was definitely influenced in some good ways about the rich bounty of nature living in a farm setting, and how many more vegetables, also being, because it was in Virginia, I was exposed to more southern cooking than I had been raised in Minnesota. So I was exposed to a lot of different varieties of cooking, more spices, more fresh vegetables, and just learned to love gardening and eating things local and fresh.